Hello friends, in this slide we will discuss about the IMS introduction. So first of all, let us understand what is IMS. IMS is an IP multimedia subsystem. IP multimedia subsystem, and this is an architecture on which IP based services are designed in mobile telephony system. Means we can say that for the VoLTE voice over LT we need this IP multimedia subsystem. So why we need this, we will see. First, actually this IP multimedia system provides us two different protocols. One is for separate protocols for the signaling part, and another is for media handling. So here we can see that in during this architecture IMS subsystem we can use two protocols. One is session initiated protocols, that is for control signaling, and is another one is real time transport protocols, that is for media handling and also delivering for the audio and video over IP network. So here we have seen that what is IP multimedia subsystem. IP multimedia subsystem is an architecture, and under this architecture we are able to use two different protocols that are segregating the signaling and media handling parts. So in the latter sessions we will discuss about what in details what is SIP and what is RTP. So now post that we will move what is IMS. Here you can see that with the help of IMS architecture, we have a VoLTE services, that is a voice over LT, and in this we are using the SIP part, SIP, that is your signaling protocol, and RTP RTCP, that is your user data traffic. So one more thing we will discuss here, that what is VoLTE. VoLTE stands for Voice over LT. This service is generally based on the IP IMS architecture, and hence for signaling and voice traffics two different protocols are being used. You can see here in this slides that the VoLTE we are using signaling as well as user traffics. In signalings, mainly the packets are TCP packets. Why? Because and while creating the signaling path we need the acknowledgement, and TCP provides us the acknowledgement. That's why we are oftenly using the TCP instead of UDP. UDP can also be used as per our requirement. In some of the cases we doesn't require the acknowledgement, there where we can use the UDP parts. While for the RTCP and RTP, we can see that we have an UDP packets are being used. Why? Because RTP packets are more in contents and we doesn't require any acknowledgement during the RTP process. So that's why we are using the UDP packets. As we can compare the TCP and UDP, we will find out that the TCP is more reliable, but UDP is less reliable, and UDP is more faster than the TCP, because in the UDP we are not getting any acknowledgement, and while in TCP we are getting acknowledgement. So here we are able to understand two things. One is IMS architecture and another is what is our VoLTE. So in the latter slides we will discuss more about the VoLTE and this RTP protocols. Now we have some questions regarding this IMS introductions, that is what is bearer and how many types of bearer we have. So first of all, let me clear that the bearer is the medium through which voice data traffics can be carried out in our telecom. There are two types of bearer, one is default bearer and another is dedicated bearer. The beginners who doesn't know about the bearer can understand these two bearers. These two bearers have vital role for the in the VoLTE services. So let's see what is default bearer and what is dedicated bearer. Default bearer is a non-GBR bearer, that is a non-guaranteed bitrate bearer, and provide data services on the IP connectivity under the QCI, that is 5 to 9. What is QCI? QCI is the quality of services class identifier. This is used for all other smartphone traffics, that is video, chat, email, browser, etc. So now we are able to understand that what is the default bearer. During default bearer, we can set up the multiple IPs simultaneously. So the, now let's see what is dedicated bearer. Here we can see that this is used for the VoLTE VoIP traffic, that is this is purely used for the voice and video traffic, and the QCI assigned for the dedicated bearer is 1 and 2. This is only for the voice and video purposes, and it having the GBR, that is the guaranteed bit rate. So here the bit cannot be lost, packet cannot be lost, because if the packets will be lost, then there will be not a high quality voice services provided. So that's why we are providing voice and video on the GBR rate or on the dedicated server. Now let's see what is QCI. QCI is a quality of services class identifier and is a mechanism using 3GPP long-term evolution network to ensure carrier traffic is allocated appropriate quality of service. I'm repeating these things. What is QCI? QCI is the quality of service class identifier, is a mechanism used by 3GPP long-term evolution networks to ensure carrier traffic is allocated appropriate quality of service. Now, what are the types of the QCI we have? We have QCI 1 to 9, where from 1 to 4 we have a GBR QCR, that is a guaranteed bitrate QCI, and for QCI 5 is a non-GBR that is used in our IMS signaling part, and QCR 6 to 9 are mainly used for the data purpose. These are also a non-GBR QCIs. So let's see why we are using the IMS signaling in the default bearer. So why we are using, let's see. In IMS network is a separate network from the normal, and it comes with its own IMS APN. Therefore, we need a separate default bearer for IMS network. This also helps in separating IMS traffic from the normal internet traffic as well. So here we have learned about some the QCI's values and what is the default and dedicated values. Also we learn about the why we are using the QCI 5 for our IMS signaling part. So these things we have learned in this session, and one more thing I am going to discuss, that what is EPS? What is EPS bearer? EPS is Evolved Packet System, and the pipe which carry data from the PGW to UE. I am repeating, the pipe which carry data from PGW to UE and vice versa is known as EPS bearer. So my dear friends, now we are able to understand what is EPS and what is EPS bearer. So first of all, let me repeat this. EPS is a evolved packet system, and the pipe which carry data from the PGW to UE means from PGW to SI gateway, then SI gateway to E node B, and E node B to UE. These pipelines are known as EPS bearer. Now one more questions is there. What are the information that the default EPS has but the dedicated bearer does not? We have answer for this. We have APN name and PDN type, that is your PDN address also. So
these type of questions are generally asked in the interview also, and this will be very much beneficial for the beginners who wanted to make career in the IMS introductions. So this is all in IMS introductions. In later session we will discuss about the SIP and the RTP. So please join and be with me. You will get knowledge on this IMS introductions. So this is all. Thank you. Thanks a lot.